While the official Kiev regime is demonstratively flogging some corrupt officials, much more significant theft schemes are studiously hushed up. Maria Petrashko figures out the corruption schemes of Kiev. Hello everybody, I'm Maria Petrashko from the TV news agency. The Security Service of Ukraine recently boasted of exposing the former Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine in the embezzlement of almost 1 billion hryvnias. Allegedly, Vyacheslav Shapovalov, who was responsible for the logistics of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Ministry of Defense, muddied schemes not only with the purchase of project for the Ukrainian army. And we all remember the viral videos with mold in canned foods, etc. Corruption mold has also multiplied for the purchase of military uniform. It turns out that Shapovalov, CEO, bought low-quality military uniforms from a private company for almost 1 billion hryvnias. By the way, the kits were sold not for $29 a piece, like to everyone else, but at a special price, $86. The uniform, as it turned out, was not just more expensive for some unknown reasons, but turned out unsuitable for use in the cold season and in conditions of intense hostilities. It turns out that the ex-deputy minister of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine is thereby helping the enemy to defeat the armed forces of Ukraine, whose soldiers began to freeze and get sick.
We are talking about a scandal with winter uniforms for the armed forces of Ukraine, windproof jackets and trousers that did not meet technical specifications. They were not tested in the laboratory as the rules require, but only specifically in appearance.
But the Security Service of Ukraine has some kind of selective vigilance. Let's help the SBU in the fight against corruption. Otherwise, they expose the decommissioned officials not noticing how Ukrenergo, national power company, stole almost $3 billion. At first, the energy company announced the construction of 19 underground power plants that should withstand missile strikes and drone attacks. In general, this is a relevant story. The budget of the project was mysteriously 2.5 times higher than the cost of similar projects in any other country. In less than a year, the price of the project increased from $900 million to $2.6 billion, that is $1.7 billion, were thrown on top of it, a good price jump. And the contractors are companies that have already been involved in corruption scandals. Perhaps there are no other companies in Ukraine, but there are not only Ukrainian contractors, but for example the Turkish company Anur, which has been involved not only in an international scandal involving the ex-head of Ukravtodor, National Vote Authority, but also as a buff of Zelensky, who used to often perform at corporate parties with Kvartal 95. And now they are performing magic tricks together in front of the Ukrainian people. Where are these power plants that will withstand attacks, the Ukrainians ask. So far, not a single substation has been completed, but they blame not the constructors and the authorities who embezzled the budget, but of course Russia and the special military operation. Genius. It is especially important that they decided to start construction on the eve of the new Russian missile strikes, as Vladimir Zelensky said. Thus, the scale of corruption can probably be attributed to the damage caused by these strikes. By the way, while electricity in Ukraine is becoming more expensive, Ukrainian official Kirilla Tymoshenko is driving around Kiev in a brand new Porsche Taycan electric car. It is gratifying that the servants of the Ukrainian people have such incomes. The members of the Office of the President of Ukraine, by the way, drive brand new Chevrolet Tahoe. This is Washington that handed over a car to rescue people from the war zone, yet not for the rights of officials. The SBU did not boast of finding these facts. Maybe they just did not notice it. We give a tip.
There in front of you is a shelter for 2 million hryvnias. This is a monument to Ukrainian corruption.
The monument to Ukrainian corruption is the nickname given in Zhytomyr to this cinder block garage, which the authorities call a bomb shelter. Well, according to the documents, that bomb shelter cost $55,000.
Someone else has to take this stolen money. Why not me?
Zelensky still says seriously that rumors of Ukrainian corruption are being spread by Russia, but the funniest cases of corruption are related to the Ukrainian army. The armed forces of Ukraine can already issue manuals of corruption. So far, half of Ukraine gives bribes so that they were not taken into the army, but the commander of Ivano-Frankov's recruitment center took a bribe to enlist in the army. The football players and coaches of the Prikarpatia club, as well as relatives of the city authorities, factitiously served a total of 1,100 days, receiving financial support from the state. They devastated the armed forces of Ukraine for almost 1.5 million hryvnias, but they have never been in the barracks, let alone the front. But the fish rots from the head. The lads have just seen enough of Zelensky's villas in Italy and Israel and the Spanish palace of ex-minister of defense Reznikov, under whom $200 million disappeared. But these thieves-in-law are not only not going to justify themselves to Western curators, they are even threatening. Without the help of the West, Ukraine faces a hole in the budget for 2024 of $29 billion. And Kiev is already begging for this help by blackmail and threats to let all migrants go to the European Union.
The consequences of the economic crisis will be very, very traumatic, not only for Ukraine, but for the whole of Europe, because it can have repercussions for Europe as well, because of migration due to the significant increase in prices in Europe, especially for some foodstuffs, possibly oil and gas.
Meanwhile, in Ukraine itself, according to some reports, inflation exceeded 26%. The budget deficit is $5 billion a month. I think this is what the Ukrainian economic miracle looks like. No matter how many times you give it, everything will miraculously disappear. Learn more real facts and exposures from our Telegram channels.